Well, we are live today, you guys. It is Tuesday. It's 8:03. I want to say welcome back to the Jive Turkey Show here as we continue to bring this along. A lot has happened over the past 24 to 48 hours in the NFL, first off. I want to start my show off today by offering our condolences to Damar Hamlin on the situation what happened on Monday Night Football game. So I'd like to give a brief period of silence for him. As you guys know, what happened with Damar Hamlin yesterday, what happened. I'm not going to go ahead and beat it up, but all I want to say is we offer your support. We want to thank you for everyone that's been reaching out to him and his family and offering their condolences, first off. If you guys want to go ahead and try to continue to donate to any of his charities that he does have, hop on Twitter, check out his profile, see which ones he does have, and donate so that you guys can see what's how we can help him in that situation there. That's that. Now let's discuss the NFL. The NFL has been pretty crazy today, you guys. Today, yesterday, and over the weekend, we've had some crazy games. So I'm here to kind of give you guys a little bit of distraction. Obviously what's going on, but we want to, let's talk about some things. So let's talk about Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is possibly in talks with the Panthers right now. They've been talking back and forth with the Panthers, possibly filling the head coaching vacancy due to the fact because Steve Wilkes is only the interim head coach at this moment in time right now. As we know, Jim Harbaugh did, have a proven record down in Stanford, and then went to San Francisco, took San Francisco all the way to the Super Bowl. He's done a great, phenomenal work with quarterbacks he's had, and there are talks of him possibly going to either Panthers or the Denver Broncos. But here's the crazy part. There is technically speculation currently right now that he could be offered up to $20 million to coach. Now, if Jim is going to be given $20 million to coach at either one of these teams, if it's Carolina, if it's the Cardinals, if it's Denver, then what do you think Sean Payton's going to command? Do you think Sean Payton will command more than 20 mil? Because I think so. Due to the fact that Sean Payton has a Super Bowl ring and has a proven record. Okay? That's first off. So we might actually see a reset the market of the coaching salary finally. For a coach to, we thought John Gruden had a big contract. But if Jim gets that 20 plus million, we're talking a lot bigger than what we've ever possibly seen in the NFL. So that's that with Jim Harbaugh. All right. With him, which games do you guys, and I see I do have one person on here, which game did you find that was most kind of, I guess you would say, crazy ending? Let us know in the comments on what you guys' thoughts were on this weekend's games. I think some of the crazier games that we saw was Denver. Was the Denver game. the Denver game was definitely, Russell Wilson definitely played a lot harder than what I think we've ever seen when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs obviously has the possibly MVP quarterback, which is what's his name? Patrick Mahomes. Okay. So when we think of Patrick Mahomes and we see the Denver Broncos and how well Denver Broncos played, would we say that Nathaniel Hackett was the issue for the Denver Broncos' struggles? Or do you think it was possibly the play calling, or just Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett just didn't get along? I mean, those are some very viable questions. Now, when we think of how what they played against Kansas City, we haven't seen that all week. All season, we haven't seen them put up 24 plus points and go toe to toe with the Kansas City Chiefs. All right. So, how do you think the coaching search is going to go, and how much impact do you think Russell Wilson will have on the next head coach for the Denver Broncos? Because as we've seen, Nathaniel Hackett just couldn't cut it. So do you think he could possibly track Sean Payton to come coach in Denver, or do you think Jim Harbaugh, or maybe Wilks, from Carolina? Because we're not. It's never a guarantee that they're going to get the job. So that's Russell Wilson in his current situation. Denver Broncos has got to figure some stuff out. Okay. So they've got a lot of long off season. They're not making the playoffs. We already know that. So, I think depending on the coach they get, it's going to depend on how much power they're willing to give that coach when it comes to players and who they're going to be able to take and who they're not going to be able to take. And if Russell Wilson is going to be able to work in the system that they should be able to work in with him. Okay. Now let's talk about Carolina. Carolina, I predicted last week with Let's Be Frank that Carolina was going to beat Tampa Bay. I don't think anybody saw Tampa Bay play the way that they were going to play this past weekend, and Sam Darnold did ball out. He did everything he possibly could, but that corner could not stop Mike Evans, okay? You run the same play and you run three touchdowns, come on now, you're not beating that, okay? So with the Carolina Panthers situation, with Tepper already talking to Jim Harbaugh about possibly coming to Carolina, do you think Wilks should get an opportunity to have a full season? Because as you can tell, the Panthers have rejuvenated and have won 4 out of 6 of their games since he's taken over. And their offense, and Sam Darnold has been balling out since he's taken the reins. So I'm not sure if there's possibly some magic there, or maybe they're just playing with pride. I don't know. But that's Carolina, and I think that's where we're gonna go with Carolina. Tampa Bay, obviously they're going to the playoffs. Like we always say, we can't count out Tom Brady. We can't. When you have Tom Brady, you got Tom Brady. Just never count him out. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Next team I like to highlight over past week 17 is Lovie Smith and the Houston Texans. All right, Lovie Smith has been in the league a long time. He was the Chicago Bears head coach. He's been with Tampa. He's out in Houston right now. He doesn't really have he's got a hard working team for him. And I think they've finally started to kind of click. Yeah, Jacksonville smashed him this past weekend, 31-3. Great job, Jacksonville, first off. But the Houston Texans, I think there's more to the Houston Texans than what we personally see right now this second. I think Lovie Smith is finally installing that system that he is known for. And I think, with a little bit more time and a little bit more patience from the ownership, I hope that he'll get an opportunity to come back next year and really be able to put a draft together as they currently have the first pick in the draft this coming offseason. That's that situation there now in Houston, and I hope Lovie Smith gets a second year option out of this coming next year. The Derek Carr situation. As we know, Derek Carr was benched this past week. Stidham went toe-to-toe with San Francisco and almost won. Okay. Derek Carr somehow goes from a top-tier quarterback to can't figure it out. Now, there's always been speculation. There's always been talk about Josh McDaniels and how complex his offensive system is. So, with the Raiders and Derek Carr, maybe there possibly might have been maybe it might have been too complicated for him, but I doubt it. I mean, Derek Carr is a phenomenal talent. You know, he had less weapons last year compared to this year. They had a tragedy. You know, their head coach was fired. You know, they lost a wide receiver due to a DUI and wrecking his Corvette like he did. I mean, there was a lot of turmoil in that team, and Derek Carr was able to pull that together and somehow sneak into the playoffs and almost beat Cincinnati. So I don't know where I see Derek Carr landing. I mean, if they're going to trade him, maybe Carolina. I mean, Carolina might be a good spot for him. Tell me what you guys think on where you guys think possibly Derek Carr might land in the situation on who's going to want to trade for him. You know, because he has a no trade clause and he's owed $45+ million after 3 days after Super Bowl. So that's a big deal right there, you guys. That is a big deal to see where Derek Carr goes. But then also Tom Brady is on the market as well too. Tom Brady will finish up his this season with the Bucs and to see where he goes. He'll be a free agent. So we'll see. We'll see where Tom Brady goes. I don't know where Tom Brady goes. Everyone's saying he might go to San Francisco. He's not going to go to San Francisco. Okay, Kyle Shanahan's already told him no twice, and they might tell him no again, and that's okay. You know, they're possibly saying the Raiders because of Josh McDaniels and the cohesion that they have together and how much they work together. So that's where that goes. And I think Tom Brady should retire. That's just me. That's just how I feel. Okay. Let's talk about the Packers. The Packers were left for dead 4 weeks ago. All right. They came back and they are feeling themselves. They are putting those wins together. Now, this week coming up against Detroit, it's win or go home. Okay. And if I'm an Aaron Rodgers guy, and I love Aaron Rodgers, I think he's a phenomenal talent. I think he's a great quarterback. I mean, he's a little prickly and a little rough around the edges, but it's going to be all right. I think Aaron Rodgers finally has his groove going with the offense. The defense is playing lights out. They are taking the ball away. They are scoring. They are doing what they got to do. And I think if Aaron Rodgers gets in the playoffs, I mean, you can never count out Aaron Rodgers when it comes to playoff time, except, you know, unless he plays Tom Brady, then we just see how that went. Okay. And then if we think about Jalen Hurts, all right, Jalen Hurts was the favorite to win the MVP this year. You know, he's unfortunately been out the past 2 weeks for an injury. They are in danger of possibly losing the number 1 seed against the in the NFC right now. So if Jalen Hurts might play this week, he's been spotted at practice. So we'll see where he goes from there. I mean, the Eagles only go as far as Jalen Hurts takes them. I think we've seen it in the past 2 weeks. Gardner Minshew, I love Gardner Minshew. Got drafted by Jacksonville. Big fan of him. But, I mean, he can only do so much. But Jalen Hurts will take that team as far as the Eagles will go. Okay? The defense can only hold for so long. That's just how that goes. Okay? Jalen Hurts, unfortunately, was out for 2 weeks, so he's not going to win the MVP. I mean, Patrick Mahomes just passed for over 5,000 yards. He's more likely going to win the MVP. There's been a lot of discussion of possibly Justin Jefferson possibly getting the MVP, but I mean, a lot of people are kind of tired of seeing the quarterback get the MVP. Let us know down in the chat, you guys, if you guys think that it should. It's hard to, when you have stats and you're crushing the game and you're playing the most sought after position. Do you think it should only be a quarterback MVP, or do you think it should be, you know, there should be different criteria for the league MVP? Because if we're just saying that the quarterbacks can get the league MVP, then maybe we should just change the award altogether to, who's the best quarterback in the league that year compared to just MVP. Maybe it should be MVP for quarterbacks. Let me know what you guys think about that, because I don't know. Maybe that's something they toss around at the end of the year. Maybe we might get a committee together and they might say, "Hey, we're going to change it," but we'll see. I know everyone's seen or possibly has seen the Justin Jefferson incident against the Packers that happened with him. He's a phenomenal athlete. First off, Justin Jefferson's a phenomenal athlete, great individual, great-hearted person from what everybody said. I don't know him personally. I'm just saying what I've heard. But striking, if it's intentionally or unintentionally, striking the ref with his helmet when he took it off should have never happened. First off, that should have never happened. We get it. Being a very high competitive individual and doing all those things, that just shouldn't have never happened. You can't lose your cool like that. I get it. You only had one catch-all game, but you can't lose your cool, especially in those type of big games. You can't. So that's that. Now let's talk about the AFC. I'm gonna start off with my Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, Jacksonville is where I'm gonna start. Okay, we play Saturday night, 8:15 at the Bank. I think it's a big game for Jacksonville. A lot of people were talking about Jacksonville not having to worry about the Houston game. Everyone was saying it didn't matter game, but as Doug Peterson was saying, and he took a couple shots at the media, like, hey, like, you guys fed into this as well, that you shouldn't be talking about meaningless games, because there isn't a such thing as meaningless games. Every game does matter. Every game should matter, and it will matter. So that's how that goes. I'm glad to see that Jacksonville took care of business, and they took care of what they should have, which is beat a bad Houston Texans team, even though they had given trouble to the the Dallas Cowboys and the Kansas City Chiefs. So it just shows on how much focus Doug Peterson has that team. That's the most important thing. Doug Peterson has that team focused on where they're going, and they're going to go. The AFC stacked, but I mean, I think I've seen this, and coaching matters in this league. If nobody doesn't understand it already by now, by week 17, coaching matters. And if you have a coach like Doug Peterson, that team responds to the way it needs to respond. And it doesn't get overzealous and it doesn't get super excited, but Doug Peterson levels that team out to where they're able to keep focused and not play sloppy. They hold them accountable and they do what they got to do. So I think with the Jacksonville and Tennessee game, I don't expect it to be a close game whatsoever. Tennessee's a bad team right now. They're on a 6-game losing streak. They are not playing good football. Mike Vrabel is doing everything he possibly can to keep that team together with bubblegum and shoestring, but it's not going to happen. Jacksonville's got too much momentum. All they got to do is just stay focused and not listen to the tabloids, and they'll come out of a winner and then have that AFC South banner and then go on to wild card and host possibly the Chargers or Baltimore. I would rather play Baltimore than the Chargers, because the Chargers are lights out right now. The Chargers are for real. Okay, the Chargers are playing really good football, and they're scary and they're healthy. So it would be interesting to see how Trevor Lawrence and his team would go against Justin Herbert and his team. But I mean, we'll definitely see where that goes. That's just how I see it. When we talk about that, that's just Jacksonville. Kansas City's rolling. They're doing everything they possibly can. Kansas, Patrick Mahomes is doing his thing. That's just how that rolls. And Sean Payton. I'm gonna close this up with Sean Payton. I think Sean Payton could possibly. I don't see him get traded within the division because, one, he's still under contract with the New Orleans Saints and is owed. He's still 2 years under contract, so which means they have to trade him. And if you're New Orleans, you don't want to trade him Carolina. You're going to trade him within division, see him twice a year? No, you don't want to do that. You want to swap him conferences altogether, so you don't got to deal with him maybe once every 3 to 5 years. I think Denver makes the most sense to me, or even possibly the Chargers. But with the Chargers making the playoffs, I don't know if they're gonna get rid of their coach right now. But I mean, I'm gonna go on record with saying I think he might go to Denver. I mean, they're only won a couple draft picks. I mean, there's a couple other coaches. Bill Belichick fetched a couple picks. John Gruden, when he got traded from the Raiders, catched a couple picks and some money. And Bill Parcells obviously had a couple picks too when he got traded. But out of all three of those guys right there, the only one actually had a proven record was Bill Parcells as a head coach. So, and Sean Payton is a proven head coach in this league. So, and he's beaten Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl. So that says a lot about him as a coach and what he's able to put together. These are just my thoughts. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for showing up, showing support. If you like the live event, we'll be going live again on Friday between 7 and 9. Catch us and let us know down in the comments of what you guys think. Remember to like, subscribe, share with friends and family, and make sure to hug your families, hug your significant others. Remember that life is precious. We only have one life, so make it count. Thanks, you guys.